everyone, it's Teresa, and today I have a couple of new Valentine's Day projects for you to check out, as well as a little blast from the past from last year. But don't worry, I have a brand new Valentine's Day video coming out on the 18th, and it's going to be a really fun video, so I'll definitely check that out coming up this week, and let's jump into our projects. Alright, I am starting off this project with some Chalk Couture stuff. I know, you're shocked. So this is the club transfer for the month of January, and it is adorable. I love this one. It is, all the info for Chalk Couture stuff is linked below. If you want to get this transfer though, you have to join the club membership. What I started off doing, as I usually do with any brand new transfer, is I fuzzed it. What that is doing is removing some of the stickiness from the back of the transfer. Right now I'm checking the screen. There's like a little something in it. I don't know. It probably came off of my fuzzing cloth because it is way past due for a wash. Anyways, I smooth it all down, get it all situated, and now I'm going to get started. Oh, sorry, some stuff fell off my thing next to my desk. I am going to start off with some of my chalk paste. This is the color Raspberry Sorbet. It is such a fun color. I've really been loving it, and I'm not like a crazy pink person, but I kind of love this. So now what I see how I was reaching towards it, that's exactly when I should have done this next part. You'll see in a second. So I'm going through and I am just going to put all of that chalk paste over all of the writing and then scrape off the excess. And then I'm going to do all of the wording actually in the Raspberry Sorbet, and I'll do all of the like the little dots and the borders and stuff in the color Shimmer Shadow. Now on the writing parts, I am just using just a regular mini squeegee, and then on all of the other parts with the details and stuff for that borders and everything, I'm using a multi-tool. I'll have it all linked for you down below just in case you're interested in checking it out. And I have to say, I am just absolutely loving Chalk Couture stuff. You guys, if you've been around for a while, you know I have just recently started using it. Usually I'll put either one or two projects in every video using Chalk Couture. It's usually towards the beginning part. So if it's not your thing, it's at least can give you some inspiration on different color combinations, because obviously you guys have paint. You could do, you know, different things. Or if you have a Cricut, you can, you know, try those out making them yourself. So you can't see it too much right now, but I just did a peel, and what that basically does is it keeps it from drying. What you couldn't really see towards the top part of where those hearts were on the top part, it has a little bit of wear to it. What that basically is because I didn't do my peel soon enough. Chalk Couture, the paste does dry rather quickly, so either you have to work fast or you have to do what I did was the peel. I should have done it sooner. I should have done it after those first two lines, but we're gonna make it work for us. I'm not worried about it. Much like I end up getting a little bit of those two colors kind of combined in different parts. Again, I'm not gonna worry about it. I'm gonna just let it go. Alright, so see, I've got the same thing. I'm going to do my peel, and then you just lay it back down flat. Just don't mess with it a lot, and it'll be just fine. This is a good thing for you to do kind of when you're going to do a lot of, like, a big transfer. Either a big transfer or if you're doing a lot of, like, different colors. Now, I plopped a whole bunch of it out of my jar there because I dipped my other squeegee in there. I don't know what it was. I don't know. I wasn't paying close enough attention apparently to what I was doing. So I'll finish that one off just by adding in that last little bit of the Raspberry Sorbet paste. And I forgot to mention it on the back part of my little stand-up sign. I got that sign from Michael's, and that is actually the color Plaster from Waverly that I painted on top of it. It's been painted for like months, so I didn't have the filming from it, and it's just painting. It's not too terribly complicated. All right, so hold down your surface and then do the rest of the peel, and here you go. It's super, super cute. We're gonna add some different little details to it though. Sorry, head in the way. Curly head in the way. Since it kind of rubbed off a little bit, you can kind of see it on the hearts on the left side. I'm gonna take my sanding block and just do a little bit of a sanding job, mostly in the top part of that. If you're gonna do sanding, be really careful if you do it to anything with the black, like either shimmer shadow or the black velvet paste, because it does tend to kind of give a little bit of like it runs. I don't know if that's the right word. Anyways, next, again, surprise, surprise, we're gonna go in with some antique wax. Oh, and I added a little bit more of like a rough look on the sides. I just brushed on the antique wax pretty liberally, and now I am just going to add on some little embellishments. At first, I was like, oh, yes, I'll add this flower on. I was like, wait, no, I have something else I want to do. Do you guys do that where you've forgotten some of the things you were going to do and you have to come back and do them? I do it all the time. Anyways, I am taking some of this faux leather ribbon. This one is from Joann's. It was part of their like spring collection last year. I got a bunch of it on clearance when they had it all on clearance, obviously, after the season. To keep an eye out for it. I'm curious if they're going to bring it back this year. Also, I know Dollar Tree had some at some point. I actually never found it in my Dollar Tree stores. I had to purchase it online to get it, and I had like a whole bunch of it I had gotten. So it just kind of depends, you know, or just a regular black cord or a black ribbon would work just as well. I'm going to then take one of these Sola wood flowers and plop it right there on the top of my board. I thought it was just a really cute little detail. And now I'm going to make a little, like a kind of a bow. I call this like my Kate Spade bow. And it looks kind of like Kate Spade stuff to me. I'm going to fold down one half of it down onto the back, glue it, fold down the other part of it down, and it kind of makes like this really cute little like bow shape. And then I'll take another piece and find my middle point. I kind of bend it. The leather is easy because you can just bend it and you'll see where it is that you're supposed to place it. I'll take a piece and glue it onto the front and then glue down the back sides, or the back part of that to there, and I'll trim off my excess. And then I'll do the same thing on the other side. Just fold it down and trim off my excess. If this is a bow you want a little slower detail on, let me know down in the description box and I'll be happy to kind of slow it down a little bit for you the next time I make it. I'm just trimming up a part on the back. You could kind of see it from the front piece. It just got to work with what you got, right? If it gives you trouble, you just snip it off. Once I'm done with that, I'm just going to put it kind of at an angle, and I'm going to slide it underneath my little flower just to add, you know, a cute little detail. I'll clean up any excess glue, and that baby is done. And it came out super cute. Again, all the details for chalk stuff will be down below in the description box. All right, so now this little guy, we're going to do another chalk project. This was actually from a live that I had done on my channel. Make sure you have the notification bell rung to all in case you want to check out whenever I go live. A lot of times I'll also post it on my community tab here on YouTube. That way if you want to catch a live, you'll know when they are. And on this one, again, I'm doing the same thing, fuzzing my transfer, and I've got this wood heart. This wood heart is actually from Woodpecker Crafts. I will have it listed for you below in case you want to check it out. They have a lot of really cute wood cutouts. They do a lot of seasonal stuff. Super, super cute. They sent this one to me, so I was pretty excited that they sent it to me. I didn't know it was coming. I tried to do on the heart kind of like an ombre. It ended up not looking like a lot. Like the top part is a little pink and the bottom part is not pink. So it just kind of, it didn't necessarily work quite the way I was expecting. So my transfer was still a little too sticky, so I just pulled it off and did a little bit more of the fuzzing. Now I'm going to find the middle part. This is kind of the best part about Chalk Couture, is that you can move it around. Well, it's not the best part, but it is a great part about it. Once you put it down, you can kind of move it around and everything, which obviously if you've ever used vinyl, you can't do that. Once it's down, that's the end of it. Now on this one, I'm just pulling out some stuff. I'm actually going to do that same raspberry sorbet. And on this one, I'm going to add in some white. I'm just going to dot it all throughout the top part of my transfer. Obviously it says you. I'm sorry, it's backwards. Like I said, this one was done live, so it's a little different. And then I'll take some splotches of the raspberry sorbet. It's like almost like a hot pink, and I don't know why I've been so into it lately, but I have. I'm going to dampen my finger a little bit with my spray bottle, and then I go in and basically just do a lot of finger painting almost. You smudge it all around on your silk screen part, and see, I needed a little bit more. And you just kind of keep mixing it around until it's pretty well on there. And then I'll take one of my squeegees and just pull off all of the excess. It's just really as easy as that. I put it in a tray just in case I wanted to use it on something. I don't think I ended up using it. I like to save stuff at least in case I decide I want to keep it. I'll do the peel, and you can kind of see there it is super cute and very fun. Now on this one, the white paste that I have is a little on the drier side, so some of it did not completely go through the screen. I don't know if that's the right way to say it. It does, basically, it's a little dry on the drier side, so that is why it kind of looks a little bit patchy, but I am fine with that basic look of it, just because it's kind of very messy anyways. To avoid that, you just add a little bit of distilled water onto your jar of paste, into your jar of paste. Give it a good stir. I did the raspberry sorbet in the lettering on the bottom, just because I wanted to kind of, like again, I said, tie it all together. It's just, these apparently are like my colors for Valentine's Day this year. You'll see some more stuff soon though. This is just the first of some Valentine's Day. That was another one I had made in another live. I'm not showing it to you today though. That's on someone else's channel. Once we're done, we'll see those houses in just a minute. Once I'm done with that, I'm gonna go in with some antique wax and add a little bit of age, a little bit of more of that more rustic-y look. That's kind of my jam, to be really honest. I like that more rustic, beaten up look to my my projects. I'm going in a lot heavier around like the perimeter of the heart. Obviously this is sped up quite a bit. I don't move that fast. My kids I feel like my kids do though. I don't know, do you guys feel the same way? Like kids, they can just literally move that fast for hours and hours. So I'm going over as well. You can take your antique wax or white wax or whatever it is you have, and you can actually go over your chalk paste as well. It's not going to do anything to it. It's not going to move it. The waxiness of it is just going to cling on to your chalk paste. More of the like water-based products, those ones are more problematic, just because you're going to end up worried about it re-wetting your paste. You don't have to worry about that with the wax. So once I've gotten it to the point where I'm happy with it, I will stop eventually. I apparently needed to show you every bit of the antique wax, but here's how it turned out. It turned out really, really cute, and I think it's really fun to add to all of my Valentine's Day projects. Here is another one from my live. This one I had several little houses. These ones came from Target, the dollar spot at Target. I want to say it was closer towards the fall. They always have different blocks, different houses. This whole concept would definitely work with the Dollar Tree ones if you happen to come across those, or if you want to cut out your own houses. It'll work with pretty much any of it. Now on this one, I am going to take the plaster chalk paint from Waverly and give a full coat to kind of my little roof line. And I'm going to go over those little chimneys as well. They're kind of like this really cute galvanized look to them, but I knew I wanted to add, I mean, surprise, surprise, some antique wax to it. So I figured I just needed to go ahead and cover them up, because the antique wax does not stick very well to that metal. Once I have gotten the roofs done, I'll go along on the sides, and you can definitely do a full coat on the whole house. It just kind of depends on the look you're going for. If you want your decoupage paper or tissue paper or napkins to pop more, that's what you'd want to do. You'd want to give it like a white background to sit on, essentially. Here's just some random tissue paper that I have sitting in my stash. So I will just kind of give it a quick little cut to try and get it somewhat to size. It doesn't need to be perfect. You could cut it closer to size if you want, if you're avoiding waste. I wasn't too worried about it. Then I'm going to take a coating of some Mod Podge. You can go a little on the thinner side, and then we will just apply it on. Be really careful on this part because you can end up with tears. I did end up with a tear in just a minute, but I'm going a lot more on the rustic side, so I wasn't real worried about it. I like to do my edges kind of a second time, make sure that they're really good and they're down, you know, that they're there. They're not going anywhere. Then I'm going to take my little mini heat press. Now, if you wait for it to dry 100%, you'll have less likely to get tears. And a little iron would work just as well. I think Walmart actually sells like a little mini iron. I've seen online a lot of people use that instead of like the little mini heat presses. But if you wait for your Mod Podge to dry 100%, you won't have to worry so much about the tears. It pulled it, and you don't want it to be too hot. Get it pretty light in the temperature. Next, I'm taking a sanding block, and I am just going to go kind of like in a downward motion just to peel off all of my excess. Once it gets the kind of tear started, I can kind of pull it back just a little bit if it's not coming off as easily. It kind of just helps at least to get it started. And then if I do need to pull it, I kind of pull it down as opposed to pulling it, I don't know, like you're pulling it away from it. Don't pull it up, because I'm afraid I would kind of grab some of that excess on, you know, on the actual house itself. And now, like I said, we're going to go in with some antique wax, because why not, right? I am going to go, again, a lot heavier on the edging of my house, and then I'll slowly kind of work my way in. And I am going to go on the trim part that I have as well, just because I felt like it definitely needed that. It's a cute little pop of the white on the sides to really bring you into the middle part. And if you want, like I said, if you wanted those hearts and the tissue paper itself to pop a little bit more, give yourself a coat of the either white or plaster or whatever, a light color on the front. If you want it to look more subdued, you do a darker color. I thought that the wood was going to be light enough to kind of give it a little bit of that pop. And once I'm done with my antique wax, I'm going to add some little embellishments. These little guys came from the Dollar Tree. I think they call it like a table scatter, I think. They're felt, and they are so freaking adorable. I think that they just are so cute. Sorry, I talk with my hands a lot when I do lives. So I'm just going to kind of take some of these little pieces that I have from Dollar Tree and arrange them in here. I'm going to layer that one. I thought that that would be really cute. The darker one with the more traditional red, and kind of layer those two together. Just a little bit of hot glue is basically all you have to do. And I think my hot glue gun wasn't quite hot enough yet, but we'll just layer those all on there. And once they're on there, we will be done with this project. Here is how they turned out though. So cute. I think they came out adorable. Now, these are some of my older projects. These were actually around spring and Valentine's Day of last year. I'm going to take a Dollar Tree sign. I will just add a little bit of heat and get this little galvanized heart off of my sign. And then I will clean up some of that glue. I thought I was going to be able to get away with using less sandpaper on it and everything, but you end up kind of having to still sand down your board before you paint it when you have like these little glued on embellishments, or same thing if you have glitter. Obviously you're gonna have to just sand that down a little bit. Once I have gotten it all down, I'm getting into those little crevices too, because it's giving you that like faux panel look to it, and I have not seen these recently. You guys will have to let me know if you've seen these Dollar Tree signs that actually have the lines in them. A lot of times it's just on the actual sign itself, like part of the image. I don't like that as much. I like actually having that more like in there, actually having the real thing. I'm kind of just measuring on here where I'm going to cut down my board. I'm going to use also this MDF letter of love just because it's super pretty and it's just going to add a lot of really cute little detail on to our project. I will give myself a little guiding line to go by, and what I will do is I will take my craft knife and just kind of trim it down. You can use the ruler next to it if you need the additional guide, or you can always cut it down. Since making this project last year, I do have a miter saw, and even with the MDF stuff, honestly, I just slap it on my miter saw and I'm good to go. It's one of my favorite things that I've actually purchased. And but if you are doing it with a craft knife, you could just get a good amount of it kind of worked in there, and then you can actually just snap it and clean up the edges if you need to. Yep, see, there you go. Just snap it, and then now we'll just clean up all of those edges. It makes for quick and easy work, you know, if you don't have a miter saw, or if you don't want to run out to the garage. That's, you know, an option too. And see, I'll just start to clean it up a little bit more with the scissors, back to the craft knife, kind of back and forth until you get it to the point that you're ready to go on your project. Once you've gotten it all trimmed down to size, I'm going to take just a sanding block and smooth out my edges on there. Obviously, they're a little bit ragged from using, you know, like a pair of scissors or your craft knife. If you're using a saw, more than likely you won't have to do that. And then we're going to get the little ladybug and get everything all cleaned up. That little ladybug is from Amazon. It's like the best little thing to have. I'm going to take some of my plaster chalk paint from Waverly. Are you guys catching a normal theme here? This is one of my favorite paint colors. It's just the perfect creamy color, almost white but not quite. So I'm just going to go ahead and do a pretty messy paint job on here. You do want it to be fully covered, but again, a messy paint job is just fine because we're going a little more in like this like shabby chic-y kind of look, and we're good with that, you know, the messy paint jobs for those. Alright, so now I'm going to take some of this metallic paint and I am going to just do a quick, I believe 2 coats. Actually, you know what? I lie. I think I did 1 coat because I can still see some of that wood grain underneath, or that faux wood grain, but I think it's absolutely adorable. Now I'm going to take a finer tip glue gun, and this is of course my Surebonder glue gun, and I am just going to take this little tiny skinny pearl trim and put it all around the entire word. Now this I believe also came from not from Dollar Tree, I'm sorry, from Joann's. I want to say it's probably in more of like the ribbon section. And you just continue kind of working that trim. You just do small sections with the glue and just press it down, and it works like a charm. It just adds just the cutest little bit of detail to this to these words. Now this little MDF block word thing is I did see them so far this year at Dollar Tree, so you can still definitely pick them up. And I did trim off the part that actually has like the hanger. Once we're done with our word, and I was just trying to see like, okay, well, where am I putting my twine to hang it? I add a little knot. This is the thicker twine. I believe I got this one from Walmart. I'll add a couple of knots in it just to give our hot glue something to kind of hold on to. You don't want it to, you know, come apart. And then I'll just kind of gauge how long I want the sign to be. I'll add a hefty amount of hot glue first, press it down, let it kind of try to dry a little bit. You can also add some little clips to it to kind of hold it in place so it doesn't go anywhere. And then I'll add some more hot glue onto the top and let it sit for a little while before flipping it over so that it really sets up. Then we'll add our sign, our little love word, onto the front. It's just so pretty. It's like such a little pretty detail. You can obviously embellish it a little bit more with florals if that's your thing. It just kind of depends on you. You could have also taken that pearl trim and done a pearl trim all the way around the sign as well. Just depends on what you like. But here it is all finished up. I think it just turned out super, super pretty. So first we're going to be starting off with this wood heart from Dollar Tree and some of these little round sticker things. I'm going to go ahead, of course, take off all of the extra stuff on it. This one's nice that you don't really have to cut the twine because I actually do end up putting it back on and using it instead of, stringing twine through it, which can be a pain sometimes. So you're going to take your stickers and you're going to put them all the way around. And then, don't worry, they're all kinds of colors, but we're going to go ahead and paint this with Waverly's chalk paint in plaster. And you're going to just make sure you get a pretty good coat of it. I think I used probably 2 coats. Next, we're going to go in with the Waverly, I'm just kidding, guys, sorry, Folk Art Antique Wax. And we're going to give a good coat of that, just kind of giving it a little bit of texture, a little bit of antiquing. You know how it is. We like to do those kind of things sometimes. This one is definitely kind of pulling in a little bit of farmhouse right now, but here you'll see in a minute it's kind of gonna go a little bit of a different direction. I don't know, these projects I felt like I was just kind of mixing a lot of different things, and I just like that. I think that's fun. So we're just going to give it some nice distressing here with that wax. You don't really need a lot. I mean, it's up to you. You could go like really heavy on it if you wanted to. It's up to you. Your choice. Your decor. Do what you want to do. So once we are done with that, I'm going to take this wire wreath from Dollar Tree, and we're going to just hop on the struggle bus, and I'm going to cut out the heart that's in the middle. Now, when you're doing it, you just kind of wiggle it back and forth. Do your best not to break the inside part of the heart. And, if you do, I'm going to show you how to fix that because I did it too. Like I said, just keep going, wiggle back and forth as best you can. If you bend it, it will actually come apart easier. But the problem is like you don't want to destroy the heart shape. So here it is. Now you'll notice one spot is broken. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. Well, actually, in reality, I needed it broken. I'm sorry. I actually did that on purpose. I broke that one piece and then notice I was like, oh, look at that. I cannot get that over that little hump, and you can't get it on the other one either. So I'll break it here. And I was like, oh, well, less than a good idea, Theresa, because now it's in 2 pieces. Sometimes I wonder. So it ends up being a happy accident though. I bead the one side, and to keep the beads from coming off, because I spilt them at least a couple of times, I do get some twine and put it around each side. I do that side first, and then I'm going to put down a bead, and I'm going to just put a lot of hot glue on the one side of the wire wreath form and hold that in there just to get a good, time for that glue to set a little bit. And then we're going to go ahead and glue down the other piece just straight to the form, kind of straight where that twine is, just to get that kind of sitting down. Now you could do a lot of things. I mean, you could leave it just like that if you really wanted to. If you wanted to paint the wreath form first and then do that. Honestly, there was not a lot of plan in this ahead of time, so it worked out the way it should have been, though. I think it worked out for a reason. So we're actually going to spin that whole little part there with the twine. I'll admit it took a little bit of time to do it, so I think it's well worth it though. And then to finish it off, we'll just glue down the one piece. I think I might have used a little bit of hot glue as I was doing it. I didn't really stress out about how much to use where and all that. You want to use a little bit on the curve, that kind of thing. So I kind of like the beads with the twine. It just gives it's a lot of farmhouse, but it almost gives me like a little bit of like boho vibe. I don't know. And we're going to add this scrapbook paper, the roses, and there's actually little like music notes in there. And this was giving me like completely shabby chic vibe. And then first I decided like, oh, I'll trace on the outside. And then I'm like, no, that's a bad idea. So I'm going to trace on the inside. And since it's kind of sitting up off the paper, it gives me enough space to trace like underneath where the heart is. And then we'll just cut it out, and we're going to glue it down to the back side of this heart. Now this heart, mind you, if you just decided just to make this smaller heart part, I think it would be super pretty just hanging somewhere. You know what I mean? Like it would just be really pretty just hanging up against something. And now we are going to put it down on the first heart. It's a heart inside of a heart. So you're just going to do, a good amount of glue on there, put it down, press it down pretty good, get a good like hold of it, remembering that this is wire. So you're going to need to give it a good, firm press to make sure that it's not like bowing out. Here it is, all finished up. It turned out really, really pretty. So on to the next one, and we're going to use that same wreath form. But now we're going to get rid of those, pieces that were kind of there. You can do one of two things. You can bend them backwards, like I am doing here. I just ended up bending it back just so it's not sitting in the middle. Or you can try to snap them off. So just keep in mind, some of them snapped off really easy. Some of them did not want to snap off at all. So I end up having a couple of them. Now to snap it off, see, you just twist it enough, like you go like a back and forth, and it will come off pretty easy. But be careful because you don't really want to break off all of those pieces, all the way through. Then we're going to give it a quick spray paint. Now this is like a hammered rose gold kind of look. This was so funny because I ended up like spray painting it really a lot to make sure I covered it, and it got like the backing of what it was sitting on. It was like a puppy pea pad or something, and I got it all over the backside. So fun for me. So be careful where you spray paint. So then I'm like, well, I'm going to go ahead and do this twine. At first I was like, I'm going to make it really neat and pretty and solid. And then I did that for like one section. I was like, oh yeah, there's no way. There's no way. When I start my twine though, I am going to make sure I cover up any of those longer pieces that are going, that are connecting those two hearts. Make sure you cover those. That's where you're going to use your hot glue to cover it. So here it is. I did it kind of sloppily, like on purpose. And we're going to get our Simply Blessed calendar, and we're going to use this Love Never Fails. This was one of, the readings during my wedding, so I do have a particular fondness for it. We're going to cut it out in the heart shape, and we're going to use this foam board adhesive. They sell it at the Dollar Tree. Just to let you know, it smells absolutely awful. So if you are sensitive to smell, you do not want to buy this. Just put it on a piece of black foam board, and we're going to just cut off all the excess foam board. And like magic, here it will be, all done. Now don't worry, I haven't glued it yet. I'm just kind of setting it up against it just to make sure it looks right. And I'm going to do this back and forth a couple times. We're just going to say like, okay, here it is, hold it still and flip it. And then I'm like, okay, I hope it's in the right spot. And we're going to use these thick wooden dowels. If you have thinner ones, they would work just as well. Preferably if you have this longer one to go from top to bottom. See, I'm looking, I'm like, nope, it's not going to fit side to side, but it's going to fit top to bottom. See, I thought I moved my heart, then I had to flip back over and fix it. So measure out your dowels first, because you're going to have to do what I just did, is fix it, pull it up, make sure it's there, and then flip it, and just, I don't know, what is it? I'm trying to think of what it is, like a pizza pan, like you're just going to flip it around and put it on the, yeah, I don't know. You're going to then glue it down. You're going to try to find the areas of your heart that are sticking up. I mean, you're trying to glue it down to the form because the cardboard doesn't really want to sit up flush with it. I mean, I guess if I'd sat there and like really like figured out exactly where to cut down and get it all lined up perfectly, in hindsight, what would have been easier is just to cut the foam board to the wreath form and then cut the paper to the foam board. But, who likes to do things the easy way? Obviously not me. So I'm going to add another couple of dowels to each side, not a couple, just one dowel to each side, give it a little bit of extra support, keep that foam board in place. When you're doing this, be careful you don't have it going like peeking over the edge like I did. I had to, move it over a little bit, and then I think I ended up cutting a little bit off of the other side when it was already glued down. So just so you know, try not to let it peek around the side. So here it is. It's all finished. I'm super happy with it. It's really pretty. It's probably going somewhere in our house. So here's another heart. It's just all hearts today, guys. This one is from Hobby Lobby, and I just thought it was really pretty, like all cut out and very just, I don't know, just tons and tons of hearts. And what we're going to do is we are going to take this walnut wood tint, and we are going to just stain the whole thing. And here it is. Don't worry if you don't get it, you know, perfectly precise on each spot, because you're going to just do a quick, light, you know, brushing over it just to give it a little bit of, like, I don't know, I feel like it gives it a little more definition. Like you can see the hearts a little bit better. It's up to you if you want to try to go like heavier on one spot, maybe heavier in the middle, leaving the outside a little bit darker. So I think you could play around with that. I think that would be a lot of fun on something like this. One thing to keep in mind is they do have a few different like designs of hearts and stuff, like actually at like Dollar Tree, which we'll see here in just a minute. Um, and so there's a lot of things you can do. We're going to use this hoop wreath form, at least that's what I'm going to call it, and we're going to fix our heart to it. This is kind of like making me think boho, so that's kind of the direction I'm kind of going. And I'll admit, I was not always the biggest fan of boho whenever I've seen it, and then like I've seen some like much more simple like wreaths done in like a boho style. And please correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not the best with knowing what exactly, you know, each style is. So please let me know if in the comments if I'm not right about what it would be called. I kind of felt like this one, like the heart said a little farmhouse-ish with the way, you know, with the wood and the, you know, the stain and then the whitewash. But then like the wreath form is kind of on the boho side. And so that is nice and fixed down there. You just did that with hot glue, you know, with wherever it touched the wreath. And then we're going to take this sheer light, like baby pink ribbon from the Dollar Tree, and we're just going to glue down, you know, put down a little bit of glue, and then you're just going to wrap the ribbon around it. Now, something you could do, I only had one spool of this, so I didn't want to do this way, but if you have more than one, you can definitely do it like in the middle. Like you'd have a whole, you know, piece of ribbon, and you just line it up to where you had like a short piece and a long piece, or, you know, do it halfway between. However you would want to do that. I didn't have a lot of ribbon to work with, so I didn't want to do that. I wanted a lot of long flowy pieces. So we're just going to keep doing that. And we're going to also then, you know, do it on the back side. See, I kind of wanted to cover that up a little bit, so I'm going to do it on the back to give it a little more fullness. Here it is, all finished up. So pretty. This one's going in my daughter's room. So last one, and I have one of these wood cutouts from Dollar Tree, and I just colored it with the Arteza paint markers in magenta. And now we're going to add a little bit of these pearl, they're like stick-on sticker things. And what I start off first is I just peeled it off, and I add hot glue and put the thing down, put down the pearl, and then I realized, I'm like, you know, this has like a sticky backing. Why am I doing this? Why am I making this harder for myself? So what I would recommend is definitely use it. It's not very often that you actually find a piece of adhesive stick-on stuff from the Dollar Tree that's very good, but this one actually worked out really well once I realized I could do that. So that one is all finished up. I think I just wanted to add just a little bit of touch of the pearls on the pink. I thought it was really pretty, very, very feminine, very girly, you know. And I liked the wood, you know, I don't know what it is. It's like, I really like a lot of this contrast right now, where you've got the soft with the hard, or, you know, this feminine with the masculine. I like it. And that's it. As simple as that. All finished. And first we're going to start off with a couple of wreaths. The round one is actually from Hobby Lobby. I got that one Christmas time. And then of course, the heart one is from Dollar Tree. And we're going to start off with this coppery colored paint from Target. I just wanted to add a little bit of touch of it to the round wreath, because there is some like rose gold coppery wire kind of running through a little bit of the heart. I was actually watching a friend of mine's video, the Crafty Quinn, make something, and she was like, oh yeah, it has a copper wire. And as soon as I heard it, I was like, ding, I knew I wanted to make something. So I went ahead and pulled this all out. I was actually watching her video right before making this craft. And I wanted to add it on this sweet little frame that is from Target. I got that around Christmas time or right after. They had a bunch of them. So if you've got a couple laying around, this is a great idea of something to do with it. So we are just going to secure that with some hot glue, and then I was so lazy, I didn't wait for this to dry. It's like still wet from the rose gold copper paint. I was just so excited. I was like, I'm going to make it real quick. And then we're going to go ahead and fix the heart in there, and I was kind of figuring out the best placement, and I decided to kind of give it kind of like a little angle. I thought that was interesting. And what we're also going to do is we're going to actually add a little bit of paint to that as well. But I decided to glue it down first, which eventually you will see. So we do fix the heart down to the wreath first, and add a little more glue than you think, because a lot of these, what are they called? Like willow wreaths, they're very gappy from the sticks and stuff. So you want to make sure that you get lots of, glue kind of in there to keep it holding it down. And I was kind of testing it there just to make sure it actually felt like it was, stuck in there. Next, we're going to go in with some plaster from Waverly, and we're just going to give a quick little dry brush to the heart because it needed a little bit something more. And you see, it just kind of makes that heart pop a little bit. I felt like it was too monotone color, if that's a right use of that word. It might not be. It probably isn't. It's late. So we're just going to give a quick little brushing of the white just to give it something, a little oomph. And so, I'm sorry this is super, super slow. I thought I sped this up a little bit more than I did, but it's okay. I'm sure you will forgive me. So, like I said, we do end up doing that, and I don't show it here, but I do end up adding a bow. I thought it needed, just a little bit of something. You'll see that here in just a moment. So here is the end result. I absolutely love it. I think it's adorable. All right, so for our next project, we are going to use these little shower rings from the Dollar Tree as well as some of their twine. And I ended up doing this with 8. This project started like a long time ago. I had the idea and I was like, you know what? I need to finish that, and this is a perfect opportunity. So the way I have discovered is best after doing 8 of these is to put the glue on the bottom underside of the shower ring. Make sure your little closure part is closed, so you are, making sure you're doing it right. You're going to need a lot more glue for those little humps, if that's what we're going to call them. That's what I'm going to call them, at least, is little humps. You want to make sure you put lots of glue on the underside of it because it's going to have a tendency to kind of slide around and slide down. And as you can see here, what I ended up doing is I cut the twine. Obviously, this is too short. It's not going to go all the way around this ring, but I did that just because it's a lot easier to pull a small section through rather than having one that is, like 3 feet long going around. So here's the ending of it, rather than have you watch me do the entire piece. Like I said, you're just going to keep it going around and around, and as you get towards the other side of the hump, you're going to kind of start to add more and more glue, and when you'll notice here, I did not have enough. I swear, it feels like it happens. You know what I mean? It's like if it's gonna happen, it just seems like it's always gonna happen. So again, you're gonna put your glue on the bottom underside part of it, and then when you get to the little opening part, you're just gonna slather that guy with a lot of glue because we are gonna make these little napkin rings. I don't recall if I said that. I'm sorry if I didn't. We're gonna make these napkin rings interchangeable for different things. Like, obviously these ones are going to be for Valentine's Day, and you'll see how we do that here in just a minute. But we're going to finish it off with a magnet. Well, actually with 2 magnets, because obviously you're going to need one for the other side. But this way you can make it, changing it, for however you've got your table done for holidays and whatnot. When I'm doing magnets, this is the way I like to do them because I have messed it up a few times. I'm a little embarrassed to admit. You're going to keep the 2 sides together, like the positive and the negative or whatever it's called. And then we're going to take one of these little DIY wood hearts. It's actually nice because this pack had 8. exactly, of the unfinished wood, because that's what we're going with actually. Is we're going to take the wood, and here in a moment you'll see I got to put some paper down so I can try to stop messing up that poor mat. We're going to take the folk art wood tint in walnut. Good lord, try to say that 5 times fast. And we are going to just give a quick brushing of that. It's really dark, pretty, wood grain color. Well, not wood grain. It's essentially like a stain, but it's not a stain. It doesn't smell awful. It dries really fast, and if I recall correctly, it is water based. So you just do a quick coat of it, and I ended up just wanting to kind of pat it dry really easy. And now you're going to add your glue onto your magnet. Don't add it to the heart because odds are you will put it in the wrong spot. Just press it on there and voila, there it is. It's done. It's cute. It's pretty. And look, you can change it. Here it is, all settled on its little place setting, and I love it. All right, so the next one you're going to use these foam hearts and some buttons. They can really be any buttons. Now, one thing to keep in mind, you can get the kids involved in this one. You can actually have them decorate these hearts if you would like to. I did not, just because I just needed to kind of get this done. I might let them kind of decorate it after the fact. Just kind of depends on my mood. And what you're going to want to do is you're making almost like a table runner. Well, you're not almost making a table runner. You are, in fact, making a table runner. You're just going to glue them together. And when I did this, I was trying to make sure I was really very conscious of the pattern of it. These are the 3 colors you get in the pack. You're just basically going to glue them. I wanted to do like purple, red, pink, and then I made sure like the overlapping was the same, like the purple went over the red and then the red went over the pink, like that way it was in order. And then you're just going to glue down your buttons, and that's pretty much it. And then you'll see here it all is on the table, really cute, and you'll see this table again soon. Here is another one for you. We're going to use these heavy planking kind of houses, and I'm obviously horrible at describing things right now, and we're going to remove all of the stuff from the outside of it, and don't worry, it will take you much longer to use your heat gun on this guy. I edited down for your viewing pleasure so that you're not sitting here watching me do it for 5 minutes. And just so you know, if you put the heat gun really close to those petals, those felt flower things, those petal things, the blue and the green part, those are going to melt, and so will your flowers. That's why I took the flowers off first. Obviously destroyed them. I can't really use them, but it's something you just kind of have to go with. So I'm going to use the heat gun and really try to get as much of that stuff off as I can. But then after that, I am going to take it outside and sand it all down. And of course, we're going to remove our stickers off the back because guess what? This is going to be reversible. I kind of just wanted to do something on both sides just because these guys, they do lend themselves to that. So once you get all of that stuff off there, again, we're going to go outside and just take the sandpaper to it. You can obviously do that with regular sandpaper, but it's so much easier if you have a power sander. We're going to take our folk art antique wax and we are going to give it a nice coat on the front. I'm going to try to spread that wax out as much as I can. See, I'm almost like kind of scraping it off. You can really do that and get away with it on the front. And then we're going to take a paper towel, a dry one, and we're going to kind of wipe off. I don't want it to be too terribly dark, and obviously your base that you're putting it on is already kind of dark because it's brown MDF or whatever they call it. And here's a decal we're going to use. I'll have the font listed for you below. It just says Love Lives Here. I saw a picture, I want to say it was from Kirkland's, that I thought it was really cute. And now we're going to go ahead and jump on the struggle bus because somebody didn't seal it with Mod Podge first to make it easier to transfer, the vinyl onto it. But, seems to be a habit I have. But anyways, we're going to get it there eventually. And what I ended up doing, I kind of used my scraping tool to hold it down while I peel my transfer tape off. Now, I did use some temporary vinyl because I am going to paint over this to make it kind of like a stencil-ish. And I add these squares at the top for the purposes of like little windows. This is kind of like the inspiration I had seen had this. And we are gonna put all that down, and now we're gonna go over that with plaster. Now, what I wish I had done, I wish I had gone much lighter on the paint. I ended up doing like a full-blown coat, which you'll see here in just a moment. I wish I had done much more of like a heavier dry brushing, if you know what I mean. I wanted, I still wanted you to have the most of it be white, but I still wanted to see a lot more of the wood. Well, I'll show you how to fix that though. And see, I kind of try to like wipe it off a little bit, and I'm like, well, this is not happening. So, and we're gonna also paint all of the corners, edges, and all that the same white plaster, whatever you'd like to call it today. And now we're going to pull up all of that vinyl, and I could only get up like the little tiny corner of it with my weeding tool, and those tweezers are from Dollar Tree and they're garbage. I did not think they were too terribly worthwhile. I've seen a lot of people like, oh, I love them, they're great, and I'm just like, oh, I'll give them a try. It's $1. Not so great, in my opinion. So again, we're just going in, pulling up all of that vinyl, and we're going to do all of the letters too, and I will only do the first word for you, so you don't have to worry about sitting here watching me do, all of those letters. And here it is, like magic. Oh, I lied. Here's the back. Sorry. Here's the back. I'm going to do something a little different on this one, and see, we're going a lot lighter, more of like, this is kind of what I wish I'd done on the front, to be completely honest. And really, I had actually started off with a decal to do on this side, but this side was much thicker, and I did not let it sit anywhere near as long with the antique wax. So I'm going to use this wood cutout from the Dollar Tree instead. It comes in a pack of 8 instead of 5. That's even better deal than it was at, Christmas. So we're going to just kind of outline it a little bit. This was a Arteza, however you say it, pin. Thank you, Santa. This is amazing. I love it. And it does, just so you know, if you have these or haven't used them or get them or whatever, it takes some pressing to get that paint down into the tip of the marker, FYI. But I wanted it to stand out a little bit, but I didn't really want it to, I didn't want to paint it. I didn't want to make it a different color. So we're just going to put that down with some hot glue on the back of it and put it down on this side of the little house at an angle. I don't know what it is. I like the angle. Kind of gives it a little interest or something. And we're going to just add just a really simple, easy bow out of twine because, I didn't feel like waiting for the hole to dry. So I was like, well, here you go, add a bow. I think it works really well on this one though. It doesn't always. So our front side, here it is once everything's come off, and definitely needed to get rid of some of the paint. So I do take the sanding block from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to use the rougher side. I tried to use the smoother side, the finer grit. It just didn't work for me. So I ended up going in with the rougher side, and you see, once you kind of get into it, you really get some of that white off, and I think it made a big difference. I like it much better with that rustic feel to it. And here it is, all finished and cute. So I hope you guys enjoyed that today. It was kind of a mix of older projects, a couple of newer projects, and you guys have to let me know if this is kind of a good length for like our, flashback kind of thing. I don't even know what to call it. Anyways, I hope you guys are having a great and wonderful day, and stay tuned because we have new Valentine's Day videos coming up very, very soon, and I can't wait for you to see them. So I will see you guys next time.